Welcome into the Miami Heat Report by Chat Sports. I am your host, Nic Rohloff, and we have a jam-packed show for you today, and it's all surrounding no one else other than Damian Lillard. We have the latest update around Dame and the Portland Trail Blazers, where the trade rumors stand, where the Heat stand in relation to Dame, because we already know that it's jam-packed. And this was a massive weekend of trolling from Dame and Jimmy Butler, so we'll break it all down. We got a massive juicy update. So this is why you subscribe. We will keep you updated on all Damian Lillard and Miami Heat trade rumors. This is a loaded offseason coming off the NBA Finals. The Heat are going to have to make a lot of additions to this roster. Obviously, number one priority for Pat Riley in this front office is Dame, so we're going to keep you updated on that, so make sure you hit that sub button. We also picked up close to 400 subscribers this past weekend, so thank you to all the real ones and the new supporters of the show. We're on the road to 2,500. Can we hit there in this video? Unlikely, but it would be pretty dope if we could. Now let's get into this Damian Lillard stuff, because Sam Amick of The Athletic, who is a pretty reputable source when it comes to Damian Lillard and all NBA news, had this to say. According to a source briefed on the situation, the meeting to discuss the next steps of the roster building process will likely be early this week. He later on said in the same article, if the roster upgrades that are proving difficult to pull off don't come to fruition when the calendar turns to July and the crucial week that follows, it's all eyes on Miami from there. And this is known. It is very clear and obvious to the rest of the NBA world and NBA fans that the Damian Lillard wants an upgraded roster around him, and if he doesn't seem or deem the roster they put around him after the first week of free agency serviceable, he might finally request a trade out of Portland. This is their current roster as we speak. Dame and Scoot Henderson, that third overall pick in the NBA draft last Thursday, in the backcourt. I had Anthony Simons put at the 3, which is probably the most likely scenario for Portland if they keep everybody. Nurkic at the center, Nasir Little at the 4. Jeremy Grant is a free agent, and they'll definitely need to upgrade that 4 spot or just re-sign Jeremy Grant if they want to keep Dame. Something to note as well, not shown on the bench, Chris Murray, the 23rd overall pick in the draft, is also on this roster, but Shaedon Sharpe, the first man on that bench, is a really good asset. So the Blazers have some young players. They just need to get more veterans to help Dame, and then I think Dame would want to stay, but that's the problem. I'm not really sure there's that many upgrades out there for this Portland Trail Blazers team to make Damian Lillard want to stay in Portland. Like, I'm trying to think of free agents that would help them win. But when you think of the really good free agents right now, it is all guards. Like, not Levine. I was going to say Levine. He's a trade target, which probably could have happened before the draft. Obviously not happening now. Plus the Bulls apparently want to actually contend. So interesting situation there in Chicago. But you look at Kyrie. You look at James Harden. Fred VanVleet. I don't really think there's the forwards and big men out there that Portland would want in free agency. So if they wanted to make a move to keep Dame in Portland, they'd probably have to do it in the trade market. So I think if they had to have one guy, it would be Paul George. But other than that, I don't really see too many guys out there that can help upgrade this roster via trade or free agency that would make Damian Lillard want to stay a Trailblazer. But I'll ask you this, and it is today's pinned comment. Will Damian Lillard finally ask out of Portland? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know down in the comment section. If you get an ad break, scroll down, let me know down in the comment section. Also, Sam Amick had this to say later on in that same article we just referenced. Lillard indeed has serious interest in joining the Heat, who would surely love to pair him with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. Lillard's wishes would matter a great deal because of the enormity of his contract. This is a very interesting statement because, like I said earlier, Sam Amick is a reputable source. He has people close to Damian Lillard, not Chris Haynes level, but Amick is very, very solid, And I really think that what he is saying is accurate. We've known Damian Lillard has wanted to play potentially with Bam and Jimmy, and why wouldn't he? Look at the numbers with these two stars of your Miami Heat. 22 plus for Jimmy Butler, 20 for Bam, 6 rebounds. I mean, just all-around players that lead the Miami Heat. They're also good on the defensive end. 1.8 steals per game for Jimmy Butler and 1.2 steals per game for Bam Adebayo. And who wouldn't want to play with these two? Because one, they win ever since they've joined forces. And when Jimmy came to Miami some years or 4 years ago, Bam was still a youngin. People didn't think he had this potential in him, but he still joined. And ever since Jimmy and Bam paired up, they have been to 3 Eastern Conference Finals, 2 NBA Finals. Obviously have not won and are looking for that illustrious first title as a pairing, and maybe Damian Lillard will help push them over the edge. And that is just another reason why Dame would want to join the Heat, because all they do is win. Jimmy and Bam would be the perfect 2 players to put around them, because you've got that wing defender and you've got that anchor in the middle of your defense who can also be a lob threat. And Damian Lillard over the past 4 seasons has been dominant. Other than the 21-22 season where he only played 29 games, he has averaged 28 points plus a night, also getting 7+ assists, shooting 45% plus and 37% plus from 3. It really is obvious to me that he is still playing at an elite level, and even though if you want to bring up that down year in 21-22 is clearly because of injury, only playing 29 games, but playing 58 games as his minimum, other than that one season, and putting up these numbers are just dominant statistics by Damian Lillard, and he just doesn't do it in the regular season. He performs in the postseason, which I just mentioned would be very valuable because the Miami Heat are always playing in the NBA postseason at the highest level. Dame putting up 26 a night, 6 assists, 4.5 boards, but once again, I think I've said it over and over, the efficiency in the postseason is off the charts. 46% from the field, 45% from 3. The lights are the brightest. The defense tightens up. Players tighten up in the postseason. Not for Damian Lillard, still shooting the ball effectively and lights out from beyond the arc and overall from the field when people are guarding him the toughest and when his team needs him the most. So Damian Lillard would fit right into this Heat culture and start playing well next to Jimmy and Bam in this postseason. Now, we will get to a potential trade package and what it would look like in a second. But first, I have to tell you about this little opportunity to tune in to the best coverage in NBA free agency here at Chat Sports. We were live for the NBA draft. I saw some of you guys tune in, so appreciate you guys for checking us out there on that night. And we'll be live again for NBA free agency. This will be our thumbnail for the first day of free agency. Friday, we'll be live 2 or 3 hours before the official free agency period begins. So check us out. If you see this thumbnail, subscribe and tune in to our live stream for NBA free agency day 1. But now I do want to look what a Damian Lillard trade would look like for the Miami Heat and Portland Trailblazers. And I want to start with this trade, and this was a Bleacher Report suggested trade. I saw an article, they put out 5 trades that should happen this offseason, or realistic trades that could happen either way, and this is what they had between the Blazers and Heat for Damian Lillard. It'd be the Heat sending Tyler Herro, Kyle Lowry, that 18th overall selection, Jaime Jaquez Jr., and then 2 first rounds in 2027 and 2029 for Damian Lillard. And I actually love this trade, but the one problem, it would not work financially because of the rules. You have to have a trade with an outgoing salary must match the incoming salary, or at least 125% close if you're trying to understand that math. But what I'm trying to say is that Damian Lillard coming back to Miami would be low 40 millions coming, and then the Heat would be sending them upwards of 60 mil, with Herro being 30 and Lowry being 30, and then Jaquez's rookie deal. It would be too much money going to Portland, so that would not work. Now, I like the package. I like the amount of draft picks. It makes sense. Just that individual salaries will not match, so that trade would not happen. So I updated it just slightly, and I changed one player, and now this works financially. You take Kyle Lowry out, and you include Duncan Robinson. Duncan's got $12 million less on his salary per year, or his cap space for 2023-24, so the deal evens out. And this would most likely be the framework of the deal. Maybe the Blazers would ask for another first-round pick or some pick swaps as well. But I think this would be the main framework of the deal, and that's why I want to ask you this. Would you accept my trade? Type A for accept, type D for decline. This is probably the most realistic trade. Maybe they ask for Jovic. Maybe they ask for Caleb Martin. But it at least has to include Herro and Duncan for salaries. And maybe instead of Jaime Jaquez, they do ask for Jovic or Caleb Martin. But I like this deal as it is. I think this is a fair little baseline point for the rest of trade talks. So let me know, would you accept this trade or not? I'm spamming the accept button on this trade for plenty of reasons. One, Herro is clearly going to be traded in this deal. I think Duncan Robinson is clearly going to be moved this offseason to either upgrade the power forward position or get more depth, because him making $18 million a year is just not good. And he played well in that postseason run, but the Heat need to allocate that money to better players or multiple players rather than just one bench shooter. So I also want to give this when it comes to Jaime Jaquez Jr. And I know a lot of Heat fans are already liking him, what he can bring to the table. He's a Miami Heat basketball player. He loves Jimmy Butler. He loves Heat culture, but don't get too attached to role players. Even if he balls out in Summer League, it's a good thing for the Heat because the Blazers will probably value him more, so it would make a trade to get done easier. But don't get attached to Jaime Jaquez Jr. this Summer League because he's likely going to have to be moved. But my one question is, and you saw it in my trade, can the Heat keep Nikola Jovic, last year's 27th overall pick, in a potential Portland Trail Blazers Damian Lillard deal? Because I think he will be an absolute stud. We saw him only appear in 15 games this regular season, and obviously the numbers aren't that appealing or anything. 5.5 points per game, 2.1 rebounds, less than 1 assist while shooting 40% from the field and 22.9% from three. It's not great, but like we said, he only played in 15 games, and he hasn't even graduated high school yet. And one thing to note as well is that he came into his rookie season at 220 pounds. He was frail, 6'10", 220, couldn't really defend, was getting bullied a little bit inside, couldn't finish through contact. If he was driving to the rim, he'd take a little bump, and he'd be completely deterred from the cup, so he needed to put on weight. In his post-game, or not post-game, but season after press conference, he said he already bulked up to 239. So he's basically put on 19 pounds of muscle throughout his first season in the NBA, which is key for him to becoming better. And I am so high on Nikola Jovic because he is 6'10", he has the skills of a guard and a big man in that 6'10" frame, so he can defend the guys inside, he can play make, he can grab a rebound and lead a one-man fist break, he can kick it out, he can shoot, he has the total package if he gets that weight up and puts it all together. So I think he could be the perfect power forward next to Bam. Or you can argue he could be the center, but even though he's a little bit taller than Bam, I would still expect Bam to play that center position because he's a little bit stronger and bigger, so he'd handle those bigger centers well. But Jovic and Bam in the front court have the potential to be otherworldly, so I'm really hoping the Heat could hold on to Jovic by acquiring Damian Lillard and use a starting lineup potentially of, if we did that trade, what I flashed on screen, it would be Damian Lillard, Jimmy Butler, Caleb Martin, Nikola Jovic, and Bam Adebayo. That is a really, really good starting five, so I'm hoping they can keep that done. That's going to be it for today's video. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you do hit that sub button at youtube.com/@HeatReport. We'll be here for the rest of this offseason and NBA free agency as it kicks up in a week. So make sure you lock us in here for all Heat news and rumors this offseason.